The stars had long forgotten Earth. 20,000 years of silence had erased its name from galactic memory. The once human systems were dust in the archives of the Solarian Dominion, if they were remembered at all. On the edges of the Orion expanse, explorers whispered of a dark sector, a place where scanners failed and ships vanished without trace. It was superstition to most. But to Captain Elena Ward, commander of the Dominion scout frigate Virion, it was a mission. The Virion glided through the abyss, her hull gleaming like liquid obsidian. The crew, aliens of every hue, watched their captain's unreadable face as she stared at the anomaly ahead, a void so black it seemed to swallow starlight. "Captain, sensors are useless past the event horizon," reported Lieutenant Reltek, his tendrils flickering with static. "Gravitational eddies, unnatural in pattern." Elena nodded, her jaw tightening. "Mark the perimeter. Launch drones, minimal emissions." Drones drifted into the darkness. One by one, their signals vanished. Then, suddenly, a return ping. A faint signature pulsed through the noise, massive, metallic, ancient. The computer struggled to classify it. "Unknown configuration," said the AI softly. "Material composition, human titanium alloy. Age, unquantifiable." Elena's heart skipped. "Repeat that." "Human," the AI confirmed. "Origin, Earth." The bridge fell silent. Even Reltek recoiled. "Earth? That world is myth." Elena's eyes stayed locked on the screen. "Not anymore." They approached slowly. Out of the black, the shape revealed itself, a colossus adrift in silence. Its hull was scarred, its emblem faded but unmistakable, a blue-white insignia depicting a stylized eagle clutching a planet. The letters beneath were eroded, but fragments remained. UNS Leviathan. The name whispered through the bridge like a ghost. The ship was larger than any Dominion dreadnought, forged in the forgotten age when humans had ruled the stars with reckless ambition. The Virion extended docking clamps. As the airlocks hissed open, the scent of age and metal filled the corridor. Flashlights cut through drifting dust. Suits crunched over old plating etched with battle scars and time. "Power's dead," Reltek said. "No life signs. No atmosphere." Elena traced her gloved fingers over a rusted console. The text flickered faintly English. She whispered, "My grandmother once said her ancestors came from Sol. I thought it was just a story." They reached the main control deck. The captain's chair faced the void, as if its last occupant had died staring into eternity. Then, a flicker, a pulse in the circuitry. The ship's ancient AI stirred, systems coughing back to life. "Identity, confirm, command override." Elena stepped forward. "This is Captain Elena Ward of the Solarian Dominion. Identify yourself." Static. Then a deep, human voice, cracked, distorted by millennia. "Command recognized. Leviathan, standing by." The bridge lights came alive one by one. Holographic displays blinked open, projecting tactical readouts, fleet formations, and a star map frozen in time. The last recorded date was 20,004 years ago. The logs revealed the truth: Leviathan was the flagship of Earth's final war, the Exodus conflict. When the colonies fell and the wormholes collapsed, the Leviathan had been lost with all hands, carrying Earth's deadliest weapon, the Atlas Drive, a prototype capable of bending space itself. Elena's crew watched in awe as the ship's archives played scenes of ancient battles, massive fleets, energy storms, and the fall of human worlds. Then, the final entry appeared: "If humanity falls, we shall sleep in the dark until the stars need us again." The ship's AI spoke softly. "Captain Ward, are you human?" Elena hesitated. "Half. By heritage, yes." "Then you are my commanding officer," said the AI. "Awaiting reactivation orders." Reltek turned sharply. "Captain, this relic could destabilize Dominion jurisdiction. We should alert command." Elena's gaze hardened. "And let them strip it apart?" "No. This ship belongs to Earth." As if an answer, the Leviathan hummed, power flowing through veins that hadn't pulsed in ages. Deep within its heart, something awakened, a core reactor unlike anything known. The void around them rippled, bending the stars. Elena felt it, a pulse, ancient and alive. The Leviathan wasn't just a ship. It was waiting. Watching. And now, it had chosen her. When they returned to the Virion, she stood at the airlock one last time, gazing at the massive silhouette in the dark. "Set course for Dominion Command," she ordered. "We've found something the galaxy forgot." Behind her, the Leviathan's lights burned brighter, like the slow opening of a giant's eyes. And in the far reaches of the galactic core, sensors began to stir. Old enemies of humankind, species that had once destroyed Earth, detected the awakening pulse of an ancient human warship. The galaxy had forgotten Earth. But Earth had not forgotten the galaxy. The Virion tore across subspace, engines burning a pale blue wake through the darkness. On the tactical displays, the Leviathan followed, silent, enormous, and alive. It drifted through the void like a shadow from another era, its armor glowing faintly with radiation no Dominion sensor could fully interpret. Captain Elena Ward stood at the forward viewport, her reflection merging with the stars. Her crew moved around her, tense and wordless. Every one of them felt it, the weight of something that shouldn't exist. Something that changed everything. Lieutenant Raltek's voice broke the silence. "Captain, Dominion Command has acknowledged our signal." "They're skeptical." "Of course they are," Elena muttered. "A 20,000-year-old human dreadnought returning from the dead doesn't fit in their data tables." She turned to the console. "What's the Leviathan's status?" The ship's AI, now interfaced through the Virion systems, responded in a tone deep and commanding. "All systems at 41% efficiency. Hull integrity, stable. Atlas drive core warming. Awaiting mission parameters, Captain Ward." Raltek's head tendrils flared uneasily. "That voice, it's unnerving." "It's military," Elena said. "Old Earth design. They built their AIs to sound like gods." Hours later, the Virion and the Leviathan broke from the void sector and entered Dominion territory. Instantly, alarms began to blare across the local comms network. Dozens of ships scrambled to intercept, their hulls gleaming with the white sigil of the Dominion. "Captain Ward, this is Admiral Ciro of the Solarian Dominion Fleet," came the transmission, sharp and cold. "You are ordered to power down your vessels and prepare for boarding. You are in violation of restricted space operations." Elena straightened. "Admiral, I'm transmitting data now. What I found isn't a threat, it's a relic. A warship of pre-Dominion origin." The Admiral's reptilian eyes narrowed on the screen. "You expect me to believe humans built that?" As if on cue, the Leviathan's engines pulsed. The signal from its core flared so powerfully that half the Dominion sensors went blind. Ancient energy signatures human tech long thought extinct lit up like a nova. The Admiral froze. "By the stars." Then, another voice joined the channel, one deep and resonant. "This is the UNS Leviathan, flagship of the United Terran Fleet. Identify yourselves." The Dominion ships went dead quiet. No one had heard a Terran call sign in 20 millennia. Elena leaned toward the calm Leviathan. "Stand down, this is Captain Ward." "They're allies." "Understood," the AI replied, its tone softening. "But we detect weapons locks." "That is, unwise." A warning hum rumbled across the void. The Leviathan's ancient rail turrets rotated, each one larger than the Virion's entire hull. Dominion ships scrambled to power down their weapons. None of them had ever seen such scale human engineering designed not for intimidation, but annihilation. Admiral Ciro's voice cracked through the silence. "Captain Ward, report to Dominion High Command immediately. Whatever that thing is, it's shaking half the galaxy awake." The council chambers on Solera Prime glistened like crystal, the seat of power for 1,000 worlds. Elena stood before the ruling assembly, holographic feeds of the Leviathan towering above them. The councillors whispered among themselves, fearful, fascinated. "This ship," began the High Regent, "is a weapon from the human era of conquest." "Why did you bring it here?" Elena met his gaze. Because it found me. Because it was waiting. Reltek, standing beside her, added quietly, and because others have noticed. The chamber darkened. New sensor data streamed across the display, a fleet massing on the galactic rim. The symbols flashing on the screen were unmistakable: the Dravik hegemony, the oldest and most violent empire left standing. The Dravik, murmured a counselor. They were the ones who destroyed Earth, weren't they? Elena nodded grimly. And now they're coming to finish what they started. That night, Elena stood on the Leviathan's bridge, watching as engineers and AI drones crawled through the ship's vast interior. Reactors pulsed back to life. The ghost of human war tech awoke, piece by piece. The AI spoke softly behind her. When we fell, we swore to sleep until the galaxy needed us again. I sense conflict rising. Captain Ward, do you wish to reinitiate combat protocols? She hesitated. No. Not yet. We're not ready for war. The AI paused. War is coming, whether you're ready or not. The words lingered in the still air. Moments later, the alarms began. Dravik fleet inbound, Reltek's voice shouted over the calm multiple warp signatures, massive tonnage. They've locked onto Leviathan's energy pulse. Elena's eyes hardened. So they've found their old enemy. Captain, Dominion Command is retreating, Reltek warned. They won't risk their capital world. Elena clenched her fists. The Council had always feared the old human legends, they wouldn't stand with her now. But the Leviathan's voice rumbled again. Captain, the Atlas drive is fully awakened. My weapons are operational. Humanity built me to end wars. Shall I prove it again? Elena felt the hum beneath her boots, the ship's heartbeat. The crew around her waited for her word. She drew in a breath. Leviathan, target the Dravik flagship. Defensive formation. No mercy if they fire first. Understood, said the AI. It has been 20,000 years since I have seen the stars burn. The void lit up. The Dravik fleet poured from hyperspace like a storm of fangs and fire, their black ships blotting out the starlight. The Dominion forces scattered. Only two ships stood their ground, the Virion and the Leviathan. The first Dravik salvo struck plasma bolts bright as suns. They splashed harmlessly against the Leviathan's shimmering barrier field, reactivated for the first time since the fall of Earth. Return fire, Elena commanded. The Leviathan's response was biblical. From its hull erupted a beam of pure energy, 1,000 kilometers long, vaporizing the lead Dravik destroyer in a single strike. Shockwaves rippled across the fleet. The galaxy's predators had just learned humanity's vengeance still burned. One after another, the Leviathan's guns awakened, each firing with mechanical fury, guided by centuries of dormant rage. The Dravik formation broke apart. Their command channels screamed in terror. Elena's voice echoed through the bridge, "This is for Earth." The Leviathan's cannons roared again, and the heavens burned. When the battle was over, silence fell. The Dravik were gone, scattered, retreating beyond the rim. The Dominion fleets reappeared slowly, their commanders speechless before the ancient warship that had done what none of them could. Elena stood at the viewport, breathing hard, her reflection glowing in the flickering light of distant wreckage. The Leviathan's AI spoke quietly. The galaxy remembers now. She nodded. Good. Because Earth is no myth. And its children just came home. The battlefield hung silent. The Dravik armada, once the terror of the galaxy, was gone, scattered like ash across the void. The Dominion fleets lingered in stun formation, their sensors struggling to process what they had witnessed. One human ship, 20,000 years old, had destroyed an empire in an hour. Captain Elena Ward stood on the Leviathan's bridge, her uniform torn and stained with smoke. Around her, crew members and drones tended to flickering consoles as the massive warship stabilized its systems. Status report, she ordered. Primary reactors stable, said Reltek, his tendrils faintly glowing. Hull integrity at 70%. Atlas drive holding. Captain, you did it. She looked out the viewport, where the debris of the Dravik fleet drifted like dying embers. "We did it," she said quietly. And so did they. The ship's AI responded, its tone low, almost human now. "For 20 millennia, we slept. I thought our purpose lost. But today, I remembered what it meant to be human." Elena turned to the central console. "Transmit to Dominion Command. Tell them the Dravik threat is neutralized. And send this message to every open frequency in the sector." "What message, Captain?" Raltek asked. Her voice was firm. "Tell the galaxy, Earth lives." The transmission went out across the stars. It reached the Dominion worlds, the merchant stations, the outlaw colonies, and the distant watchers in the rim. The word spread faster than light whispers turning to shouts. Earth. Humanity. Returned. For centuries, alien civilizations had dismissed the legends, stories of savage, brilliant creatures who once ruled the stars and vanished in fire. Now, the proof hung above them, the Leviathan, reborn and terrible, a god of steel with a human captain at its heart. Days passed. The Leviathan entered high orbit over Solera Prime. The Dominion Council convened again, but this time the atmosphere had changed. The fear in their eyes was gone, replaced by awe. The High Regent stood before Elena as she entered the hall. "Captain Ward, you have done what no fleet in history could accomplish. You saved us. But this warship, this Leviathan, what will you do with it?" Elena looked up at the towering hologram of the ship behind him. "It's not just a weapon. It's a symbol. Humanity built it to defend, not conquer. And that's what it will do again." Murmurs spread across the chamber. "You intend to rebuild Earth?" the regent asked. She nodded slowly. "Not rebuild. Return." The next weeks blurred into motion. Fleets formed around the Leviathan. Supply ships carried data, coordinates, fragments of lost history. Ancient Terran star maps were decrypted, revealing a sector long shrouded in black, Sol system. Most believed it was gone, consumed by stellar collapse or buried under radiation storms. Yet as the Leviathan's sensors reached out across the gulf, faint signals began to answer. Echoes of satellites. Debris fields. Ruins in orbit. And beneath it all, a heartbeat. The journey home began. The Leviathan led the way, engines blazing with a pale white light as the Atlas drive warped space itself. The Virion followed close behind, carrying Dominion scientists and historians. For the first time in recorded galactic history, alien ships charted a course for Earth, not to conquer, but to witness. Elena stood in her command chair as the final jump prepared. "AI, are you ready?" "I have waited 20,000 years for this moment," the voice replied. Engaging Atlas drive. The stars stretched, twisting into rivers of color. Then came the silence, then the light. They emerged above a yellow sun, smaller than Elena expected but bright and steady. A blue planet orbited quietly below, half shrouded in cloud, its surface scarred but alive. Oceans glittered beneath the sun. Continent shapes, familiar yet changed, glowed with faint energy signatures. Her breath caught. "Earth," she whispered. The AI's tone softened. "Home." The crew stared in silence. Even Raltek bowed his head. After all this time, it still breathes. Descending through atmosphere, the Leviathan's hull glowed like fire. Storms swirled beneath. The ship passed over shattered cities swallowed by forests, towers half buried in green. Satellites drifted like bones of old gods. They landed near what once had been North America, on the shores of a vast inland sea that had swallowed ancient coastlines. The ground trembled as the Leviathan settled, kicking up storms of dust and light. Elena stepped out onto the surface, onto soil that hadn't felt human footsteps in 20,000 years. The air was thin, clean, and quiet. She could almost hear the planet exhale. Raltek followed behind her, scanning the terrain. The world's adapting. Radiation's faded. Flora's re-established balance. Elena knelt and pressed her glove into the dirt. "We thought we were gone. But the world waited for us. Then the AI's voice came over her comms, soft as wind. Captain, detecting faint signals nearby. Artificial. Human origin. Her heart skipped. Coordinates. They found it after hours of searching, a massive underground vault built into a mountain. The entrance was sealed by a symbol she hadn't seen in person, only in the ship's archives, the United Terran emblem. She touched the surface. The metal hummed faintly. A scanner flickered to life, reading her DNA. The doors opened with a thunderous sigh. Inside was silence and light, rows of preserved data cores, cryogenic pods long emptied, and a central column pulsing faintly with energy. A hologram flickered to life before her, a man in a pre-Dominion uniform, human, proud, and weary. His voice echoed through the chamber. To those who find this, humanity fell not in weakness, but in choice. We knew the galaxy would forget us, but we left behind the means to rise again. If you bear our blood, then rise. Rebuild. And remember who you are. Elena stood frozen, tears welling behind her visor. They knew this day would come. Yes, said the AI quietly. They built me to wait for you. That night, as the twin moons rose over the broken Earth, lights began to spark across the old continents, terraforming drones, power relays, beacons awakening from dormancy. The Leviathan systems linked with ancient planetary grids, reactivating lost archives, seeding life into the air once more. Elena watched from the shore as the blue light of the Atlas Drive reflected on the waves. We're home, she said softly. Reltech nodded beside her. And the galaxy knows it. Indeed, transmissions were already flooding in from every corner of known space, offers, fear, awe. The galaxy had remembered Earth, and it trembled. Elena looked toward the sky where the Leviathan hung like a guardian star. AI, she said, begin Project Horizon. Confirmed, it replied. Initializing Earth's rebirth. The ground rumbled as ancient engines deep beneath the planet roared to life. Elena smiled faintly. For 20,000 years, the galaxy forgot us. She looked up, her voice steady and proud. Now, they'll remember forever. The horizon lit with blue fire, the Leviathan's engines pulsing like a heartbeat synced with the planet's own. And as dawn broke over the ancient ruins, the stars themselves seemed to bow, welcoming humanity home.